Hi and welcome to another video from me, Chris at DBG. So week 12 and week 13 predictions, really. It is crunch time or last minute that you can try and get your team into the playoffs. Almost. Obviously there's one more games, but some teams are in playoffs week 13. So let's see what we get, let's see how we did. Hopefully we did quite well. Week 12. I did well, not well enough. That's basically the motto here. And to be fair, quite a lot of teams didn't perform particularly well, and I probably would have beat over 50% of my league with my score. Just unfortunately, I came against Tampa Buffalo John. You got 144 to my 134. It's only 10 points off, but it makes all the difference when we look at the players. And I took a gamble and it didn't pay off. Went for upside, didn't work. But it puts Jonathan at 8 and 4 and me at 7, 4 and 1. So we'll see how we go. I think I'm still third or maybe fourth now in my leagues. And I think I'm pretty much guaranteed playoffs. I know for some of you that might not be the case, so please let me know. Let's see if we can get a bit of chat going. See if we can get support to get you in that playoffs. But teams itself, for me, Murray played particularly well, got higher than as predicted, and did quite well. Scored the extra points that he needed. Jabbar not as good for me, but that could all change with hopefully Chase coming back in week 13. Christian McCaffrey, he was very disappointed, got injured, which speaks to one of my players as well, Elijah Mitchell, who also is now injured, which breaks up the third string running back, or third depth of running back on the 49ers. Worth looking at, but that could also, if they don't play him as much because it is third in depth, then that means Debo might be has a better solid floor than what he has been producing of late, depending on his current injury status as well, which has left him out of practice this week, I believe. Jonathan Taylor actually coming back and 18 points. I was hoping for a little bit better than that against Pittsburgh, but they got him down. Oh, it's hard to see the score. 48 points for Joshua Jacobs. Ow, he's running all over the place. Smashing. He is doing everything. Massive upside. And well deserved. If you put him in the rounds, you probably got him late anyway, considering he's an RB1 at the moment with huge upside. Speaking of which, a massive RB1 at the moment, didn't perform as well as you hope against Tampa Bay. Nick Chubb performing quite well, higher than what is predicted. CeeDee Lamb had a good game as well, high points. Debo not so. Really did think he was going to perform better, but I think there's just so many mouths to feed now on the 49ers. It's really hard to tell where the touchdowns and upside is going to come. But overall, it's a really low score as well, which doesn't help for the touchdown element. Amari Cooper, 16 points, and be fair, he's got massive ceiling moving forward, considering arguably a better quarterback coming in. Hopkins is pretty much one of my saviors that I've been holding, and he's doing really well. He is a wide receiver 1 every week for me going forward. Because actually, well, very rarely gets the ball at the best of times as a tight end. The tight end, completely opposite of the spectrum, is tight end 1. I think it's tight end 4 this week in my rankings, is Dalton Schultz. DeMar Smith, just not really getting anything at only 9 points. You're hoping for a game and high scoring. He had the potential, but unfortunately Hurts just doesn't look his way. Paris Campbell coming back down to reality, and that is where I made a mistake here, putting him in my flex. Jared Goff, 17 points, performing really well. I didn't expect that against Buffalo, but it was a bit of a shootout, so fair play to them. Derek Carr, he is a solid QB2 in my opinion, with one potential upside week by week depending on who is playing. Going forward, I'm pretty happy with him. Saints only 4 points and 49ers 12, performing really well. So you can see where I made mistakes, but also got higher scores in other places, and the same for my opposition as well. You know, potentially you could have scored a lot more points in there as well. And two of those was Marcus Brown could have come in instead of Smith. That would have scored him one more point. Probably the one you'd never expect, and only pretty much the only significant is Zay Jones. He's got 27 points. He is just a great pickup if he's on your waiver, which quite a lot of leagues don't have him in at the moment. For me, it was Brian Robson. I have held on to him thinking he's going to kick off, and every week he slightly disappoints. In the week he doesn't, I put Campbell instead of him, and that would have won me the game by quite a bit. So unfortunately, what do I think going forward? I think Brian Robson is getting the volume. I think he has better floor than Antonio Gibson, but hasn't got the touchdown upside that I would expect. But unfortunately, it is what it is. I mean, if you looked at the predicted scores, it was 115, he got 144, so well over that, and I got higher than my predicted by not by much. So if you look at predicted, I should have won, but it's all about Josh Jacobs just destroying my day that week, and I'm pretty sure if he was on the other team for you could have had the same result. But it is what it is. Next team, Trump is putting it. Either Trump and Matthew is in a bit of a difficult position. He is now 6-6, and the person he played is also now in 6-6. It is a tough playoff position, those two, and we will talk about that at the end. 191 to 169. Now there was no buys, I believe, in this week as well, but the buys are coming up. So if you haven't got buys, you need to win. Sometimes you have to do a desperate trade, even though you know it's probably going to make a mistake in the playoffs, but you need to get there first to make that mistake. Lamar Jackson coming back and playing really well at 22 points. Hurts exceptionally well, playing 30. Both running quarterbacks, both touchdown upsides, week on, week out. David Pierce has dropped off. What has happened? He's a great runner. Give him the ball. This is getting like that. And yeah, he was against Miami, but yeah, it's awful for their Pierce at the moment. Austin Eckler performing really well. He's definitely your running back two high, you know, of the whole league, I believe. So he's always going to be an RB1 start for you week in, week out. P. Ryan coming in for Mixon and had a really solid experience, especially against who's he against? Oh yeah, Tampa Bay, Tennessee. There we go. Really good for him. David Montgomery coming back a little bit hurt, coming back down a little bit of reality and points, but still good for a wide running back 2 in your league, and will still be that because he's getting the volume, especially if Herbert out. Gabe Davis, I expected him to be really at the forefront with almost alongside Diggs at the moment, but unfortunately, with Allen having his elbow injury, he's looking more for short passes rather than that deep ball, which is where Davis exceeds. Stefan Diggs, 21 points. That's what he's predicted. It's what he's got. He's solid all the way throughout. He's always going to be your top 5 wide receiver. Brian Ayuk, 11 points, getting volume and getting, I believe he got the touchdown as well. So going forward, you know, like I said about 49ers, the talent's all over the place and he's getting it at the moment. Garrett Wilson at 26 points, obviously changing quarterback. Could that have just White just actually make him viable going forward? I generally believe so. I'd like to see more, but it's worth a pickup if he's on your waiver wire because I know he is in a low percentage at the moment. Dawson Knox, he's just not getting looked at. He's too touchdown dependent as a tight end. I'd try and find someone alternative. TJ Hopkins is performing well. He's learnt the playbook now. He is starting to be a really big commodity. And Mark Andrews, good to see him back, but not in not with the points that you'd expect, but he seems to be back and moving forward. Should be a solid tight end 1. DK Metcalf, he's getting looks all over the place, he's getting volume, and he's getting touchdowns. That's what you want as a wide receiver. And 20 points, exceptional for him. Jimmy G, expecting more points, especially with the volume that he's producing and the talent around him, but it was an incredibly low scoring game, unfortunately. Kenny Pickett is it's just not performing well. He's not a start in my opinion moving forward. First time Dallas Cowboys haven't scored the predicted points. Really didn't do well, but it was a tough game. And Bills performing a little bit better. On the bench, could it have made any difference? Not increasingly. The only person making a higher score was Adam Thielen. Would you have placed him anyone? I probably would have swapped Andrews and Knox and put my flexes Thielen, but the way he's performing, you wouldn't expect 21 points at the best of times anyway. Is there anything to go forward? Do you expect it? No. It is... Yeah, it's just what it is. If he's getting touchdown, he's too touchdown dependent week in, week out. Next, and the highest person in our league, 11-1. Fanatic Wanderers, 140 versus Hitman, who's now 6-6 at 70. So remember that 6-6 is an important score. That's 3 teams already on there, all around about. Kirk Cousins having a great game at 21 points. He is moving forward. Should be expecting maybe a little bit less than that, but he's always got that upside potential. Personally, should have had upside potential, especially playing against Houston Texans. 15 points. Tua didn't play very well, or didn't get the points you'd expect. Team won, but what's happening going forward? And Travis just didn't play, so you don't think he got 140 points and he didn't even play his running back 1. And that's how good this team is at the moment. He's just injured. Obviously, the backup came in and played really well, but going forward, don't really know. Don't really know the injury report on him. Alvin Kamara, if he's in your team, you're just disappointed at the moment. Is his mind on other things? And they haven't got that court case anymore, so what's going on? For me, it's volume out there. Obviously, they didn't score any points. They were shut out. But, yeah, it needs something going forward. Someone who is always on the trend up is Stevenson. He's taken over the backfield at New England and is doing particularly well. 19 points for him. I always expect him in my top 10. Should have been better. Wasn't. Henry, he's just a little bit down, but that it does come with a pure running back. He's not really getting the catches for that upside, so you do rely on their run. If they do have a good run defense, they're pretty much stacking the box against him because there's a little else out there. Mainly Burks is doing quite well, so opening up a little bit. Hopefully that moves forward. Obviously he dropped the ball. Well, he got a fumble right on the touchline. It would have changed all the difference. And then Burks picked it up and scored, which actually changed him to being a starter. So, but you'd never drop him. You're always playing him. Justice Jefferson, speaking of which, you always play him. He's doing well. A good stack with Kurtz, 28 points. They were all over the place, throwing touchdowns. You were expecting New England to put out a better defense, but unfortunately it wasn't the case. AJ Brown, with so much going on and so much volume, you'd expect something there, but he just wasn't there at the time. Going forward, do I expect more? Yeah, he is going to get more going forward, so don't worry too much about him. Jalen Waddle, 13 points. He's come back a little bit, but you'd always start him. He's got massive upside, but a really safe floor, being a Miami with Tua at the moment. Jarvis Landry coming back, but not really a starter. There was no action for him. Travis Kelce, in theory, a lower score for him, but as a tight end, you can expect much more. He's normally scoring wide receiver type points, but 15 is still solid for a tight end, and it was tight end 1 every week you have him. Austin Hooper, 6 points. It's not too bad. Do expect that going forward. Actually, yeah, he's getting at least 2-3 looks. He's going his way. Has he got touchline upside? Yes, but if it's anything, it's probably going to go to Henry at a short pass if you're going to a tight end. Jeff Wilson, he's taking over at his backfield at the moment and must start being injured. But 11 points, they got a little bit of run game going on in Miami, and he's doing quite well. It's still a committee over there, so don't expect too much volume, but he's making use of when he gets it. Cordell Patterson, arguably one of the best running backs. Well, he's the best running back in their team, and they're just not giving the ball. He's already showing he can touch a punt return or a kickoff, to sort it out, or kickoff return. But only 9 points. They need to give him the volume more and more and more. I don't know what's happening. Justin Herbert had a great game at 27 points. Wasn't expecting it, but have done particularly well going forward. He is a QB1 going every time. Daniel Mooney got injured. Unfortunately, he is out now for the season, I believe. So there isn't really much wide receiver now at Chicago. But let's see going forward. That could potentially open it up more for Montgomery as well. Eagles 6 points, getting what they're supposed to get, and Ravens only getting 5, but only 1 point off. With defense, it's defense. On the bench, Mike Evans, he is taking a bit of a dive in a moment. He is in my top 30. He's about 26 on my rankings for this week. But we'll see what it's like. He's got always potential upside, but he has these weeks going forward. What's it? Pachenko, 14 points. He's running good. He is their running back 1 now, I believe, in the team. But we'll see what's there. Everyone else, nothing really much. Beckham has signed. Has he signed for anyone? Well, I don't think he signed for anyone other than getting kicked off from airlines for being wasted. We'll see what that's going to do going forward. I don't know. And Pitts could be out for the season. And Justin, no, not Justin. Juju Smith-Schuster, he's playing. Hopefully get back to full running speed, and he'll be the wide receiver 1 on that team. Next is 9-3, and unfortunately, Lowers, you are definitely out. It's basically fighting for the wooden spoon. At the moment, there's no way of you making the playoffs. 154 high score and 107, which isn't a high score. It would have been quite a few teams. Just unfortunately, when Lovers gets a high score, the other team just gets a higher score. It's just how the weeks play out sometimes. He's got a solid team in my opinion, but hasn't performed well when it needed to. Josh Allen still with that injury of throwing shorter balls at 29 points. Smith's a great player. He's a top 10 quarterback, maybe top 15 week in week out at 19 points. Aaron Jones having a good game, 18 points. You're always going to start him at the moment. He is having an injury, so it'll be interesting to know what happens and if AJ Dillon has more of a play. We'll have to watch the injury reports coming forward. If AJ Dillon's on your bench, it might be worth a stack. Ezekiel Elliott doing well. Dallas are probably the only team at the moment with a solid committee that is both worth playing week in, week out. Still low, but if you need someone as a running back 2 in your roster, then he is a good choice. Same as Pollard. Saquon Barkley, 14 points. Is he on a trend down? I think they are at the moment, unfortunately. But he's still in my top 20. And Foreman, getting 11 points. He is getting some of the volume. He is touchdown dependent, but we'll see what is going to go forward. Higgins, 24 points, doing exceptionally well. Perfect timing for while Chase is not there. Let's see what's going to happen going forward. Keenan Allen, 15 points. Again, good point score for him. Let's see if it's going to materialise in going forward as well. And Ryan St. Brown, really good. I don't know if it is going to change, but we'll see. I think it's a really solid performance by him. And Josh Palmer, obviously had a massive game last week. What if you're hoping for the same? It was just a deep threat and touchdown. Didn't get that, but still 10 points, so worth a start and worth a look. Gerald Everett, same team, only 7 points, but as a tight end, it's okay. It's your matchups. This is all you got to look at for tight ends, and if you can roll into getting a touchdown, then he is a start for you. And Greg, only 3 points. It's not really getting looked at anymore. It's not worth a start, in my opinion. And White, 20 points, doing exceptionally well, and that's why that makes this team quite scary, considering Fournette is still injured. What happens when Fournette comes back? He'll go back to a committee. I think White has proved himself to still get a good chunk of the ball. Going forward, though, you'd expect White's volume to go slightly down. Peoples-Jones, only 3 points. Could that go up? Yes, definitely, with Watson being in the quarterback zone. Wouldn't happen straight away, I don't believe, but it could spike in some weeks, depending on the matchups. Prescott, low scoring. We'll see what's going to happen there. Going forward, you always start him. You haven't really got a choice. It's, well, this team does, but most teams won't in a Superflex, at least. Tom Brady, 17 points. He's solid. Every week he's going to get roughly the same score. He's not going to have much upside, but he's always going to give you a safe floor, so worth always going. Patriots low on the defense. Normally they're scoring pretty high, but it was against Vikings, so that's what happens. Am I against Vikings? Yeah, Miami. And Chiefs, 13 points, doing really well against for their defense. On the bench, you had Chris Godwin, who's just outperforming Evans in every shape or way at the moment. Do we expect that going forward? Weirdly, I do. I think he's actually come on. He's got a short game and he's got a touchdown. He's being looked at all over the place. Other than that, you have Burks, obviously fell into the end zone by catching recovering the fumble from Henry. Going forward, it's hard to see where he's going to go. AJ Dillon, that's what I said, if he's on your waivers, pick him up. He's getting a volume when Jones was injured. So if Jones is still injured, he is a solid play week in, week out. Other than that, disappointing. Obviously, Swift, only 9 points. Is it going to change? It's hard to tell. He's just not quite 100%. Next, we have a Chip who's 4-8, still a chance to get in, and Chicago at 5-7. And I remember that 6-6. That's where those people were really close in between and got the win. Just needs one more, and hopefully rely on other things happening. Birds could still get there, but it relies on other people losing where he needs to win. Tannehill, 11 points, Jones 14, both respectable in their scores. Kenneth Walker has been a beast. He is touchdown dependent because he's not getting anything else, but he is getting a little bit of volume there. Najee Harris, back to reality, also injured, so we'll see what's going to happen. Jamal Williams, 10 points, always touchdown dependent, being the highest touchdown running back of the season, but we'll see what it's going to go going forward. You start him if you've got him because the upside is so good. Speaking of upside, James Conner, they performed excellently, and he got the volume and passes and touchdowns and what he needs. So going forward, I expect the same, but he is on bye on week 13, so if you need a win, you could probably use him as a trading tool to get you a player for upside, especially for someone who's already made it into the playoffs. Tyreek Hill, 14 points, disappointing for Miami, playing against Houston, but we'll see what's going to happen going forward. Dante Adams, only 14 points, was expected more, but he is the only real wide receiver weapon in Las Vegas. Obviously, Jacobs just took over in that field, so when the running game's working, you keep using it. Christian Watson, 21 points, performing admirably at the moment. I think going forward he is a safe floor every week. He is being looked at, more importantly, in the Packers as a wide receiver one in their team at the moment. Tyler Lockett, he's getting a volume. It is a really good split between him and Metcalf. He personally, I think, has got a better floor because he has a better short game, but lower upside. We'll see what's going to go forward. Alton, It's a tight end, only 1 point. He's not really getting looked at. And Brandon, yeah, he's not getting looked at. Someone who should have been looked at is Kittle. Only 5 points. Very disappointing, but low scoring. Mattis, 9 points. It's just so many mouths to feed on there. It's hard to predict who's going to get the touchdown. Pittman, 20 points. Was hoping, obviously, that would go to Campbell without more points. But good volume for him. It's going forward. We'll see what happens. And Mike White. Where's he been? It's where 24 points. Has he made the wide receivers actually startable on the Jets team? I think he has. The problem is it's late and you want to see another week of this action before you can prove it's going to work. But you might not be in a position for that choice in your league, so it could be worth a gamble if you haven't picked him up already. Trevor Lawrence, 24 points, getting his run game on and going really well, so let's see what's going to go forward. Steelers, wasn't expecting them to have a good solid defense, but did with 12 points. Broncos, yeah, when their defense plays well, it's not like you can rely on their offense to shut people out, so they need their defense to do well. Unfortunately, it didn't against Panthers. On the bench, was there any major differences that could have changed the game? Unfortunately not. You wouldn't have put Foster instead of Kittle, let's be honest. And to be fair, your probably gut was telling you to play Dilton other than White, and that was actually a good call, playing White first. Amari Cooper, he's probably the only problem. I don't know if they're going to get him back this season. With Stafford as well injured, and they're not making the playoffs, let's be honest. They will probably say it's okay, rest up, our season's gone, and that'll be disappointing if he is in your RR spot. Maybe you might be lucky and use him as a low end trade for someone who's already made the playoffs, who can risk the gamble just in case. But personally, I think he's gone for the year. Raiders now sitting at 5-6-1, so again that tie coming around that 6-6 sort of mark. 109 points, done the win, and Cleveland Steamers needs a little bit of a run. I think they might have to rely on so many things happen before they get in, but otherwise they aren't in our playoffs. Patrick Holmes, 17 points. You were expecting more, but done what he needed to do. Marcus Mariota, he is in my top 20 as a quarterback, but only 12 points this year. He needs to get his legs moving to get you that upside. Mark Sanders, 30 points. He was having a great game from start to finish all the way through. Delvin Cook, don't know what's going on. It's pretty much finished for him. In every game I saw watch and you go, I want him to run. Something is just not clicking this year for him or for the Vikings run team. But they are winning, so you'd expect him to have more. Do you start him week in, week out? Yeah, because he's got potential. That's the problem with it. Murray, 10 points, and with possibly Boom coming back off IR this week. We'll see what's going to happen there. Drops his floor down quite a lot. Tony Pollard just wasn't the game for him, but he still could be started as a low-end running back 2 for your team. Alan Lazar just not getting the looks at, and Watson's there at the moment. Only 4 points. And another one who should have been is Terry, getting looked at by Heineke, but there wasn't really much of a passing game going on there. Pretty much it's just low scores, so only 8 points. Chase Claypool. With the problems with the wide receiver, he is definitely one to look out for. His volume is going to go up week in, week out. Can we rely on it? Maybe wide receiver. Maybe in your top 30 wide receivers, but don't expect too much from him. Similar to Chris Olave, I can't say his name, just say Chris. To Chris, they were shut out. What happened? So it's still 11 points, which is a safe floor for him, and so you know he's getting the volume. Pat, only 6 points. There wasn't much going on in the tight end position. Can you start him week in, week out? Yeah, he's getting looked at, and he is getting volume from a tight end perspective. So always count him in your top 20 top 15 with tight ends. David Nayuko, 13 points, really good at the tight ends. Do we expect it going forward? No. Mainly because there's going to be a lot more volume going into wide receivers, I believe, going forward rather than the tight end. DJ Moore, up and down season, had some brilliant seasons and had some low seasons. And this was an up game for him at 20 points, exceptionally well. Going forward, it's always a gamble. You need to be a matchup dependent on that. Same as Christian Kirk, he has had huge potential this week. But I don't know what's going to happen going forward. Let's hopefully something changes for him. Aaron Rodgers just didn't have a good game. It was against Eagles at 99 points, and they pretty much said no. But you know, still scored loads, but not enough running upside down for him, and not enough touchdown passes for him. Taylor Heinicke only got 11 points. Wouldn't expect him much more, but did okay. Going forward, would expect better from him. Commanders defense only 6 points, and Jets defense 9 points. Good and respectively. On the benches, good if anything changed. No. Chase coming back should be a lot good. Everyone else, nothing's going to make a difference. Leonard Fournette is... It's hard to see what's going to happen. Hopefully he comes back off his injury and well. He will be working in the committee with White, I believe, but going forward he should be alright. Wilson, drop him. It's such a rubbish season for Broncos with him. That was, yeah, they got hustled with his trade, unfortunately. And Sutton, even despite that, performed quite well with 13 points. Could he have come in anywhere? Yeah, but wouldn't have changed anything. So nothing you can do. So let's look at our standings and look at all our playoff percentages. So currently there's 4 teams with 100% that they are in the playoffs. So it leaves a little bit high percentages with everyone else. Donald Trump being at 6-6. And the Badlands both at 66, who had that game against each other, both at 95 and 97%. Underneath that, which will be where the 8th position are, we have Chicago at 43% percentage and Hitman at 79. But close on the tails is Raiders, who is also 5-6-1, 5-7 at 70 points. The advantage is if his draw was against me, who's a high standing, so that could come into play. Birds, 16%. You're expecting so much from everything else, depending on what's going to happen. So, obviously, 2 bottom players have they written off the season. I don't know. Are they going to trade players away that stupidly? No, because we're that type of league that's been going on for years. Pride is everything. But are they the teams that are going to trade out a gamble? No. The teams, if you're looking at your league, then the teams with a lower percentage but still have a percentage are the ones that might gamble one of their best players for maybe 2 or 3 of your mediocre players just to increase their chances and their overall team. But no one wants to king someone. And by just trading all your players to one team, it will just annoy your league dynamic quite a lot. Especially we're all friends, we don't want to upset anyone. So playoffs at the moment. I'm looking at Badlands. If things stay how they are, Raiders get in against Fanet, Badlands against myself, Dump the Trump against Buffalo, and Hollywood Hitman against Dak. I generally think I've got the toughest game out of that. Where everyone else is slightly just, other ends of the spectrum, where me and Badlands are 4 and 5 respectively. Those 4 points could come in handy. That's week 15. So we're week 13. We've got 2 games to go, but there is a massive bye week coming up. So best of luck with you. If you got 2 games in, that could be 2 wins. That could get you into the playoffs. Wish you the best of luck. Hope you enjoyed. Hope this is a bit of an insight. It's going to help you. That's all you can do is just do your best. Chicago is probably on that run at the moment. The 2 wins. Could they get 2 more? That could bump them in to the playoff contention. But there's still technically, I'd say 95, 97, not really, but there's still 4 teams that can make the last 2 spots. So best of luck to them. Hope you enjoyed this video, and best of luck for your leagues. Please like, subscribe, all of that jazz. Warhammer wise, there's load of videos coming up soon, as I've been printing like a madman for an alternative Death Called Creed army. I'll show them soon as well. Just printing off loads of special weapons as we speak. So looking good. See you soon. Hope you enjoy. Please like, subscribe, and wherever you're in the world, stay safe and happy hobbying. Bye for now.